The real deals are on the air now. And now, live from the Swords of St. Michael Studios, it's The Real Deals. Kenneth and Farah Deal. Hey folks, hello everybody. It's High Def. High Def, HD.
No, that was High Deb, not High Def.
Oh no, not High.
That's High Deb.
Hey, you guys, on the bottom right of the screen, there's a little gear icon. And make sure that it's set for 720p. No lower than that, because you're going to get robbed of being able to read the text in this presentation live show on the topic tonight, which is, Farah, what is it again tonight?
I don't know. I'm still typing in a notification. You tell me.
Okay, Dr. Farah. All right, anyway, we're going to try to pop in and out of the chat room. We always have fun when we change equipment. I changed to this little sub mixer that I can just like have it on my fingertip and turn something up or down. And turns out I heard some hum, you know, like something shorted or something, and I couldn't find it fast enough, so I had to rush and put the other one back on. So I have to keep an eye on the levels tonight. So if we're not quite, excuse me, if we're too loud or we're not too, we're not loud enough, let us know, okay? We'll get us all prayed in after we check in with Deb. Deb, our sidekick in the show. Debbie here?
I'm here.
Okay, good.
I don't see any promos.
You don't see any promos? Well, maybe you can put some up, right? Well. Okay. Yeah, it's going to take me about 10 minutes to get my show face on. And I mean internally. Okay, let's go in with our St. Michael prayer. Maybe St. Michael can help us get started. Okay, in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Would you like to do it in Latin, Farah?
Yes.
Like
Why not?
version.
Pardon me?
I like the Latin version. Go ahead, Farah.
Okay, can I please? Are you sure it's okay now? The Father,
Yes,
Son,
of
Holy
course.
Spirit, amen.
Okay, you may.
Do them now.
You don't
All right.
have to ask permission.
All right. Gloria Padre, et Filio, et Spiritus Sancto, sicure et principio et nunc et sempre et saecula saeculorum. Amen. Sancta Michael, Arcangele, defende nos in prelio contra nequitiam et insidiis diaboli est presidium. Imperii Deus, supplicis de peccamur tuque, princeps, militiae celestis et animaliosque spiritus malignos, qui ad perditionem animarum pervegantur in mundo, divina virtute in infernum detrude. Amen.
Amen.
Was that short enough, honey?
No, it's
Yeah,
not.
you did the short version.
I was
I
like
have-
trying to be Speedy Gonzalez. He's like, honey, you're taking up too much airtime. Like, thank you, honey. I
We spent the
needed
last
to know
week
that.
converting everything to HD, including the break screens, the ending screens, the intro. So you might see it a little sharper. If you're looking at it at your phone,
Yeah.
I do not know if you will tonight, but the point, again, is to make sure that you can see this. Not in this little box here in the middle.
No, it's not. Where to
because
go?
we'll be on, let's see, what
Where to go?
is this one? Hey, how'd that happen?
I don't
Okay,
know.
where to go?
I don't know.
Where is that screen? Okay, let's get back to here.
Oh, guess
You're a
what?
Yankee
You have to
Daddy.
go to the videos, Deb, and that's where you see the promotion. If you clicked on the little tiny notifications, kids, so hello. I can see you all now. Hi, Doris. Hi, Bernard. Hi, Athena. Tony. Haven't seen you, Tony, in a while. But
Antonio.
if you guys click at the top of the chat so you can see everyone's chat, you need to click on live chat instead of top chat. Okay? And that way you'll get everybody's notifications as they pop in. Hi, Ashley. And then on our video, see where the little thumbs up are going? You know, if you can give us a little thumbs up, you know, that will push our little video to the top. And then there is a little bell, dingle bell, that says, hey,
Go away.
push me. And that's the one that will actually give you a notification that we're going to be live. And then if you ever come on YouTube and you get lost, just go to our little channel. And then you want to click on the video link because there's going to be a whole bunch of lists down below. So if you click on the video link, it'll take you to the latest video and you'll see like the live red button. That's the one. Yeah, it's the one to find us on. Okay?
I found you.
It's always
Yes.
it should always be on the live channel. Every week you come back. If you go to the Real Deals, YouTube.com, the Real Deals, all one word,
Yes.
/live. You'll see it parked there during the week saying live show hasn't started streaming yet or whatever the message is. And then you go there tonight. If you see it and it hasn't started up, well, we haven't started the stream. You can always try to refresh the page if you have problems after that. Some people had some trouble last week in getting into that. And YouTube's got their stuff together. So we don't expect any kind of, like the other channel, face something, being, like YouTube. That's a good thing.
So as Ken was saying earlier, tonight's show is really going to hit home. If you have any young children in the room, I would prefer if they did not listen tonight. Or if you are just turning us on, this material is not suitable for anyone really under 15, 16 years of age. And why do I say that? Especially with everything our kids are exposed to today. What you're about to see is a lot of research that Ken and I have put together for a variety of things that, we really don't post or advertise. But this is for colleges. This is for high schools. This is a presentation that we basically do on what's really going on out there that a lot of parents are really not even aware of. So when we're talking about temptations and we're talking about oppressions and Santo Miguel, welcome. He's a virgin. Oh my gosh, can we splash holy water on him? Hi, Jen. What we're talking about is that the next step that you take from ordinary temptation can be your last. And so if you have little brothers and sisters you need to look out for, if you have a college student, if you have a high school student, or if you know somebody that has one, hopefully this information will help you recognize some things, see some things, and you might want to share it with somebody. Because it did take time, it did take research, and we may not get to all of it tonight, so we may have to have a part 2, but we're going to dive in and we're going to go over it bit by bit and how it's applicable and what we need to look out for. So let's hit it. Can you believe they made a guitar with a Ouija board thing, Deb? Oh my gosh.
I just noticed that. That is really something else.
Isn't that wild?
Wonder what that guy's like. Yeah, this was originally made for a presentation to be done for some college kids at...
Actually, it was done for the high school, remember?
At
and then we actually
made
made it for, we actually made it for the college, too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it started on for high school kids. That was going to be done around Halloween. We're not going to schedule anything this year.
Planchette.
I know. That's all. Well, I'm sure the planchette is the pick.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking,
right?
Too.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Yeah, okay. I'm surprised they don't have it stuck on a board somewhere, like you can just pull it off. Yeah, that's
just
cool.
giving a shout out to Jennifer. Hi, Jen.
Hi, Jen. Ladies, giving her nasty breath wave at.
Oh no, that dog food.
I know, she's just been eating dog food. Okay, kids, buckle up. It's gonna get bumpy. Here we go. Invitation to the occult
begins here.
As we go over the common ground of what it looks like, of what happens, how easily it is to fall into certain situations, we look at a list of some of the simplest things that, could protect us from being tempted.
The number 2 one here, if you read some of these things, these also make them vulnerable to being recruited by gangs or various, cults. And that's another show in itself right there. But, of course, the top of the list is a lack of God in daily life and no prayer life. Imagine if you don't have a role model in the home for a father, or your mother doesn't pay attention to either. I mean, then you end up a candidate for, evil, both visible and invisible. So lack of supporting positive, faith-filled role models is what, we're kind of covering, in the top and the bottom. God, the head, and then the father, and like if you had an uncle, if they're missing a father and the uncle's around a lot, or even a responsible older brother, if they're not too close together, because it's hard to respect someone who's only a year older than you. look up to him as a role model.
Well, and that's just it. You know, Deb, it's like when your son was going through his thing, I mean, his role models weren't really faith-filled. They were musicians. They were people that had, 2 feet in the world, and the other hands were like reaching all over the stage everywhere. They weren't exactly God-based, were they, Deb?
Oh, no, they weren't. It was Robert Plant. That's what
Jimmy
he
Page?
loved since he was 8, 9 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And the year that he went over to London, and Alan and I took him to the airport, as a matter of fact. He goes, I said, are you going to be safe? Because I was really worried. He goes, Mom, I just have to meet Robert Plant, and then I don't care if I die the next day.
Do you mean Jimmy
So
Page?
You see how things play out?
Mm-hmm. Did you mean Jimmy Page, a guitar player?
Yeah.
Okay,
Jimmy
Robert
Page.
Plant's a
Sorry,
singer,
you're
yeah.
right, Ken. Why was Robert Plant on my mind? It was Jimmy
because
Page.
he's a singer,
Ken,
so that's...
you know me better than me.
Oh, my gosh. Well, that exactly.
You are my brother.
Yeah, I've replaced. Well, your brother can remind you that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and there you go. How about that for role models there, Farah? He's a rock star, and well, he's actually
That
a
is
fan of Crowley, so...
tough.
And he did get to meet him. He did hang out with him, had drinks with him. He went back to his flat. And he did contact me over there. And he gave me Jimmy Page's phone number. He said, Mom, only call me if it's an extreme emergency. And I still have his number because of, extreme emergency in case of his grandparents or his son. That would be an extreme emergency. Or one of us here, his brothers, or,
We have that in case of an emergency. Hey,
Yeah.
when's your next album
I have it
coming?
in all of Jason's belongings. Well, for those who don't know, Jason has passed. After he did get to meet Jimmy Page.
How old was he when that
9
happened?
months later, he passed away after that.
How old was he when that happened?
He was 34.
Oh, okay, he's a little older, but we understand about the role model that can happen when you get somebody else. Let's say you have a really, I don't know, well, not going to say overly strict or anything, someone who is firm on the rules in the house, but very God-centered, go to church on Sunday, the whole 9 yards, do your chores, get your,
Oh, yeah.
that kind of stuff. But what if someone comes along and says, hey, I just sit around and I just watch TV and do drugs all day, or, and play my guitar
Not
in my
very
lap.
good. Not very good.
It's almost like the literal,
Oh, but Jason made all his sacraments.
Yeah. Going all the way to confirmation.
And getting
Okay.
married.
More about
Yep.
Deb's story at another time on that in detail.
And we'll weave it
tragic.
in here because there's so many points that are, just hit right in here. Which one are we on? No custody of the mind or keeping the moral commandments of God?
I think the moral commandments of God, just because of the word moral is in there, that doesn't, yeah.
Well, without a lack of morals.
If everyone kept that command,
Yep.
there would be peace and harmony in the world.
Isn't that the truth?
If that command was kept.
Isn't that the truth?
That's
Well, especially
right.
the moral ones.
And according to even morals, it's even the way you dress today.
Well, that's why we put no custody of the mind in there. Because when we're talking about, we may be able to act decently, we may be able to care about people and basically not break any of God's commandments, and then you see somebody in class or on the street and they're not wearing any underwear and you can see their nipples and you can see the crack of their cojones and everything else, and you're like, oh, merciful heavens, how do I take that on my mind? I apologize for being crude, but this is our world. You have to look
Because of
away.
morals comes modesty.
Exactly. Well, what I'm saying, you can't go into, even at the gas stations. You go to the gas station, somebody bends over, and you're like, oh, merciful heavens, oh, my. It's like, you can't get it out of your mind. So what do? You take custody of your mind, you immediately look away, and you start singing,
Kumbaya.
Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Can you get me very far away from here? You don't want that in your mind. And this is because Satan can use anything in your imagination at any time. So you have to look away, people. And that custody of the mind is one of the most important things that we don't teach our children. No, we just teach our children to look and stare and go, "Oh, mommy, look." No,
we got a lot of porn addicts out there, and people think it's harmless.
What was in the news? It was in Florida. This man was totally naked outside in his own yard, his own property, pruning his trees and watering his flowers and everything. He's totally nude. And the neighbors called the police, and they said there's nothing you can do about it because he's on his own property.
Oh, boy,
in the
that's
nude?
not true.
Really?
He can be seen from public property.
You know, if there's... I'm sorry, but there's got to be something you can do.
On your own property. But, you know... he wouldn't go for an interview, the guy. He goes, no interview because we're a private family. Well, if you're a private family, why are you showing your privates?
Yeah, not very private, no kidding.
No, really.
Right?
But, you know, he has a lot of children on his street. You know, that's not, how can you teach your child modesty when your next-door neighbor is buck naked?
Exactly.
And that's his name probably too.
And that's why we're telling people that you have to keep a certain custody of mind. And as Tony's saying, you turn on TV or you turn on the radio, and what are they talking about? You know, bumping uglies and going for the hookups and everything else. It's like every other thing is a sexual innuendo. You know, they're cursing, they're cussing people out, they're saying you need to go to hell. I mean, every other, shall we say, spewed garbage on the radio, lyrics, TV. You can't even watch a Burger King commercial without seeing big booties in your face bumping up and down. What's that about? And you think your kids are safe to go to high school or college?
Going to Hooters.
All
Oh.
right.
I know.
Okay, so
that's
keeping the
custody
moral
of mind.
commandments of God,
Yes.
and the problem is that people act like, oh, what's the harm in that and stuff. Like, are you stupid? You know, it's like the top two things we have problems with this, and we're talking about oppressed, not the people who are just like questionably mental or whatever. But they say that it's harmful psychologically to you to get addicted to porn, or to self-satisfaction. We'll just use the word for. And the moral part is very important because you go down, you slip spiritually, and then we find out all you have to do is just do one thing: play with the Ouija board to give it invitation. Next thing you know, incubus or succubus. And it's haunting you, and at first you're amused, and then we get to this point where they don't want to let it go. And, the haunted house thing is so much different than the person. We have a haunted person now, and they may not want to let it go, or they may like it, or they're too far gone. We're finding a lot of those now, just like Timothy Leary LSD experiments or something.
Well,
but it's
sweetie,
corrupting. It's bad.
Somebody, you bring a very important point up. What's Demonology 101? Do not acknowledge it. Do not pay it any attention. What is that? That's custody of the mind. We all have to practice what we don't want in our minds. We have to get out of by praying it out of there right away. You have to pray it out.
What did you mean by self-satisfaction, or did you mean gratification?
Self-gratification, yeah.
That's against God's...
without even mentioning that, we're talking about kind of a mainstream kind of neo-psychological look at it. That everybody knows what we're going to say about it, mortal sin and so forth.
Right, well, if they watch porn, they're going to give themselves self-gratification right there.
Well, not exactly. It builds to it. But
Yeah,
we're talking about the problems that... Well, I was saying the problems that happen that no one really thinks about. Although we hear about the consequences. Okay, it's going to make you look at women in a different way. You're going to go look at women as strippers. And as men, and I understand that girls are. I don't know how girls do. It's not even registered that way so much, but somehow or another they got to the point where they're exposing themselves in the same way. Remember Playgirl magazine? I don't hear much about that anymore, but I guess I don't need that because just out of curiosity, it's still, even if they're not really so much with the eyes as they are with the mind, it still reaches the mind in some level, some primitive level. But all that stuff kind of goes without being said. It's just that when it destroys the spirit and it gives the demonic an entry point, and all you got to do is just play with the Ouija board. You already have a mortal sin demon of immorality, sex, and whatever sitting there, and what we call the incubus and succubus, depending on whatever you're into, that kind of thing. And they're really, the longer to let them go, the harder they are to get rid of. And so this isn't like, so you call it incubus, succubus. Well, that's just a name that you give up to it. It's the same
true.
demon, really. Same tribe. There's no male or female demons or angels or anything. But this is the invitation stuff, so continue.
This destructive societal beliefs, I don't remember adding that one, but that's pretty important because we do talk about what society says is appropriate and inappropriate, and as they're talking in the chat room right now, Deb, is sadly that our society believes it's okay for people to wear literally underwear to Walmart. And literally, they expose so much of their body. Why? Because society says it's okay. Or society says, we don't need men, so women can go out and kiss each other in public. And that's just, that's too much information in public. Children do not need to see that. And unfortunately, instead of embracing an intimacy with our personhood and the justice that comes from being a child of God, we think that everything goes in public. And we think nothing of not saying anything to our children. We don't say anything to each other. We just kind of giggle and move on. When we should be saying,
it all starts at home.
It really, really does. And, I think that I used to hang out with nice people before I was a bad girl.
You're not gonna have any.
True. We can pray for those people. You don't ever make fun of people because sin makes us stupid. And in no way, shape, or form. I was with one of my children at Walmart. We were picking up a liner for something, and we saw a cross-dresser that was about 6'4". And fortunately, my child had never seen one. And the pantyhose was a little bit torn, and the skirt was a little short, and it was obvious that, there was still a beard on the face and a lot of heavy pancake makeup. And my child didn't stare or anything, but I quickly...
Just didn't see it.
Well, no, she saw it all right. She saw,
What, did she comment on it?
No, what she did is, what she saw was... That doesn't really look like a woman, but I'm not saying anything because I've been raised with politeness and manners. So she instantly looked away when I guided her away. And when I got her a couple aisles over, I said, "Sweetie, did you see that lady over there?" And she looked at me. She says, "This lady?" And then I knew she knew. And I says, "Well, that's right. She wasn't really a lady, but she needs our prayers, or he needs our prayers because this person is very confused. This person doesn't know who they are.
Yep.
And they need a prayer right then and there." So, she prayed in her head. I prayed in our head because you never know the demons that are chasing that person that is unchaste, unjust, and absolutely disgusting and repellent to everybody around them. There's still a child of God in there. There's still a child of God in there. So we don't encourage any kind of bashing whatsoever.
No, because you're not judging.
No, it's not appropriate. No, it's not. But still, we still have to watch over our eyes. So the feminization of men. Sadly, you guys, this is the biggest problem we see with the invitation to the occult, especially in little girls. Because little girls, instead of being raised that, there's some kind of fake, phony prince out there that's going to save them, they've been charged to put on the pants that they're going to save the day. Not only are they going to save the day, but they're going to get a man to pay their way, and men are going to do their bidding. And men are going to sit there and listen to them whine and crab all night long, just like a girlfriend. Where did this idea come from?
Bewitched, Mrs. Kravis. Abner, I just saw it. What do you want?
It is the
Gladys, can't you see I'm reading a newspaper?
Disgusting thing. Hey,
Mike.
Mike.
The guy reading a newspaper in the old sitcoms.
Yes.
Hey, they're coming back with that, Bewitched.
Exactly.
Probably not going to be anything like it. Yeah. Well, that's... these early things are witnessed by kids too.
It is.
Their parents are like this, or their friends' parents, or whatever, and that includes the last one too, the person who hasn't. And let's not forget, you idiots out there who want to criticize us for saying something about a person dressing as a woman. And of course, it's closer to Halloween. You can give us the benefit of the doubt on that too. But DSM-5, you guys want to cling to your science. DSM-5 still has it in there as abnormal psychology. They changed the name to get around that. but it's still in there in abnormal psychology. I didn't want to get into any normal
Well, you know,
psychology when I was learning
that's the
it.
problem, is that people don't understand the DSM, the Diagnostic
Statistics Manual.
Statistics Manual for abnormal psychology, that homosexuality and cross-dressing was deemed a potentially violent mental illness. And the government, realizing that they were going to have to put aside money and pay for people to enjoy their mental illness, they're like, we can't do that. We're not paying for that. There's too many of them. It's like, okay.
Yeah, how they changed it in the DSM?
So they changed it to be perfectly normal and rational
and DSM
behavior.
DSM-5 we're on now. In DSM-2, edition 7, prior to that, you know how you get the people coming in and are protesting? I'm not trying to bring up politics. I'm just trying to tell you how the thing did. When they come in there and they invade, a hearing or whatever, and they start yelling and protesting, they did this for the group of psychologists, psychiatrists, and top minds who were discussing the revisions for edition 7 of DSM-2. And they did it over, the homosexual. And I think they're probably doing it now because I haven't read about that. It's not interested. But they did that with shouting and roaring in the backgrounds and dressing and drawing on your chest, and they got it removed. So it's not in DSM anymore as a mental disorder, the homosexual thing. And now they're trying to do that with cross-dressing, and they call them transvestites.
Yeah. The sad thing about our society right now is,
it's still in there, though.
What happened to the Sam Elliots? What happened to the John Waynes, where, he could just go, like, if a woman was, like, out of line and being, I'm sorry, a whiny crybaby, why can't he go pick up and put her in her cave? You go, calm down. I'm sorry, but I'm a traditional female. If I get out of line, somebody better pick me up. I'm going to go ballistic.
Is that Western or whatever? He picks her up over his shoulder and he puts her in the bedroom.
And I know that's radical and it's going to make some women mad. I don't care. There are very specific roles. I'm a girl. He's a boy. All right? I have, an ability to talk and annoy the heck out of people. He has ability to shut down and just have a blank stare and go, and say 2 words a day. That's gender roles. It's all there is to it. And when we have a society that says, well, guys have to have the little man bun thing and girls have to have, like, the butch haircuts and, they just got to take control, we're confusing the complementary beauty of what we can be at our best. And I'm not saying girls can't wear pants or guys can't have man buns, but come on, let's not go overboard. So sticking with the occult and the temptations of the occult, it's always a good idea to be sure, as God says, through Jesus, know thyself. Know thyself. Know who you are. Get to know yourself. Know who your gifts are. And you won't have that problem. So the open acceptance of the destruction of life, Deb, this is a big one. A lot of people don't realize it, but when you put it out there that, to 12, 13-year-old little girls in school that you can get on the pill and your mom and dad won't find out, or, there is going to be a little, what do they do? Today they put little buses full of, dental teams, gynecological teams, that sort of thing. And they'll come in and they'll pass out free pills, diaphragms, whatever you need, condoms.
Condoms are even in the girls' room, in the bathrooms today.
Michael's zoning out on me now. He's so funny. But that's just like, okay, so that's contraception, so they don't get pregnant. All right? So when they do get pregnant, what do the girls get? They get a little card with a little free pass off their first abortion. And I was just, when I saw one of those cards, I was like, you've got to be joking. Isn't there a law against this? Sadly, when little girls and little boys grow up with a lack of responsibility for, shall we say, creating new life, when they grow up and they don't have to be responsible, there's no respect for life. So if we don't have a respect for life, why would we have a respect for anything else? So, people say, what does this have to do with the occult? I thought you were talking about the occult. I thought we came here to learn about the occult. Okay, what is the occult? What is hidden? What's the mystery of the sperm and the egg, kids? Do you have any clue? It's called life.
Okay, let me insert on that one first.
Go ahead.
We constantly, and I used to not want to do this because I was in this wishy-washy mode 20 years ago, whatever, a little bit. and you don't want to, like, be politically incorrect. The problem is nothing's getting
irritate
done.
people.
Oh, sure, you clear haunted houses and stuff. You're in demonic whatever, infestations, you name it. But when the person doesn't get this basic kind of like layer of, okay, what's going on inside spiritually, they're not going to get anywhere, because it's all spiritual. It's all about, you have to heal it from the ground up. And the only way to do it is God helps those who help themselves. It's true. I'm sorry. I mean, it'd be great if we just went in there as ghost hunters or something and got all this stuff done. But the problem is some of these people are so corrupt morally and spiritually that I shouldn't even touch it, because they're not ready to give it up. So that's the bottom of the bag of the peanuts. So get the salt out and lick your finger and get ready for the next frame, I guess, huh?
Yeah. See that, Ken? Not my circus, not my monkeys.
That's true.
Oh, my goodness. So basically, when you believe that abortion, should be passed out like peanuts at a bar, chances are you're going to be tempted into the occult at one point or another. That's our point here.
Yes, it's a moral frame,
the dislike,
a mindset.
Yeah, it is a mindset. The dislike or contempt of any and all authority. Why is this a pitfall into the occult? Well, let's just say you don't like your boss. So you go home with whatever you feel like, pens, pencils, toilet paper, maybe you stick, reams of paper, and you're like, well, I don't get paid enough, might as well take this home. That is theft, but to you, it's like, well, I don't get paid enough, so you don't like authority. You refuse to follow the rules. It could be something as horrible as that. It could be something as simple as, well, I know my mom raised me to go to church and everything, but I don't have to go to church. Or let's just say you're in high school and you want to skip school. I don't really care. What's going to matter? I mean, high school doesn't matter anyway. And sadly, I kind of agree with you there, because high school's a waste of time. But you have to follow the rules. You have to get through it. So kids that are, shall we say, not so much antisocial here, but that are difficult to, you cannot teach them, you cannot make them, they refuse to follow the rules, they are twice as likely to get involved in occult activities, because it's such an easy temptation to get involved with.
Yeah, for the same reason they join gangs.
Yeah, precisely. They want to belong. They totally want to belong.
Yeah, don't go out of your way to be like this parent who's just their best friend.
Yes.
It doesn't work as a coach either.
You cannot be a friend until they're 21, and even then, sometimes not till they're 27. Right, Blake?
I can vouch for that, Farah. I always told my kids when they were growing up, when they would run their mouths sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And I would bite their head off. I said, look, I am not your friend. I am your mother.
Thank you. Don't even push that button ever.
One's 29 and one's 26. We're friends now. But growing up, I am not your friend. I'm your mother. I'm your teacher at home.
My wife's my best friend. Is that bad?
So that's an invitation here, and all these things that we list here, these are basic. Okay, it's easy to change your behavior. Anybody can change your behavior for a day, a week. I mean, look at all the people on fad diets. I mean, the world makes $1 billion off it. But these are attitudes. These are attitudes that have to be worked on. These are attitudes that need to change, like Deb says, in our homes, or we will not be changing the lives of our children. So let's see. The authority, when we rebel, place our needs and wants and desires first, we're saying I am God. That goes along with the whole authority, non-serviam thing. Choosing sin, an act and choice that authorizes evil and negates grace. And that's what we were talking about, is we were talking about a theft. Any one of the 10 commandments. Just take your pick. Disobedience to your parents. I will not obey my parent. I won't love God before myself, or my child, or my husband.
That famous case of the Florida 10 Commandments pedestal or plaque or however it was displayed, it was pretty big. They cited, many people were saying, all of those are good laws of a city, a council, the capital, and that's really what they were meant to be. They were meant to give to the kings. And then go from there, because they demanded back then that we must have a king.
Oh yeah.
So that was supposed to go from the kingship down, in particular the kings. But it meant that it was just it's for a society. It's not even so much except for when you get to the top
Precisely.
two. I'm not Lord thy God. Don't, no strange gods. Don't take my name in vain. And then the rest of them are about us getting along. So if you just took those two off, you can make it to 8 commandments. And if you break any of those things, you need to think about yourself, because you're going to end up in that courthouse before a judge on a lot of those things. And that's the big picture. So that's why you can't replace it with Goat Boy. What's he going to do? Someone pisses you off, destroy him. That's one of the rules of Satanism. It doesn't say the P word, but they say, I swear it's probably about 3 or 4 of them. I don't want to dig it up. I don't want to give glory to them or anything. But they say destroy them. So that's their motto. Are they going to call them the religion of peace now? Mm-hmm. But the 8 of them, are moral and good virtues for people to live as a citizen amongst yourself, in a household, in a village, on a street. And if you live those, you'll stay out of the courtroom. You won't be in there for any reason.
And it's never too late. This is what we tell people. It's never too late to enforce these main rules in your house, in your home, that you have authority over. If you have a roommate, if you have a son, if you have a brother or sister living with you, it's never too late. This is why we quoted Hosea here. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Without knowledge, there's something beautiful about wisdom. When you know something is right, it starts bothering your conscience. That is the impetus not to do it again. So it's never too late.
Sarah, you are so right on that one. Like something bothered me the beginning of this week or last Saturday.
No.
Yeah.
That's so true. Something bothers us, and it's like, whoa, got to do something about that. All right, going on to the next slide. Boy, oh boy, we're taking a little bit of time. Okay, so this is our harmless occult invitations. This is what we call a little bit of relativism here. And we call it relativism because things that people present, whether we are in a party situation, whether we're in somebody else's home, a lot of times we're uncomfortable with confronting people and say, yeah, I don't like that, especially when you're a kid and you want to fit in. And I don't mean kid in a light sense. I mean anywhere from 11 to 21, and when they're just starting out in college and they're in a dorm and they're in a situation they don't know, if they don't have the basics of the 10 commandments, and they start seeing somebody lay out a bunch of cool crystals and somebody's sitting in the middle and they're jamming and smoking and having fun, is your kid going to get up and say, I don't want none of this crap, get me the hell out of there? And we're like, ooh, cool. What kind of cool rocks have you got? What is that stuff? Oh, how fun. And they're like,
popular,
oh yeah, it's
all you need is one popular kid in the group, and they want to embarrass themselves and lose statue with that popular kid. It's all about
partake in that.
Well, of course, because it's like they've never seen it, and it's like something new, and it's exciting, and everybody looks like they're happy, and who knows? They just came out of an angry home because mom and dad are yelling, or they came out of an angry situation, and this is like cool, it's calm, and it's like, it's tuning in, it's channeling, man. It's like, and you don't even have to smoke weed. All you got to do is like tune into the frequencies. I cannot tell you, and
it's refreshing to them.
It is. It's totally invitational. And why? Because you know what? Any power on this earth is given by God. If anybody, and don't get me started. We use crystals and electrodes and everything else. I mean, the energy from crystals are wonderful because it's used in electronics daily, but it is not a source unto itself. It comes from God. But try explain that to people, we have the singing crystals, and we have, the mirror crystals, and people the crystal craze started in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah. Yep.
And people really got into it. I mean, they're taping in their foreheads, putting them on their hands. I mean, it's just crazy.
Now we know about vibration of crystals and all that stuff.
Where do these people think this energy comes from?
Yeah.
Well, okay, don't get me started, Deb, because I could do a whole show on that. I mean, we're talking about like
we probably should. Aliens. We probably should just This would be a 4-hour lecture, and even at the college, it was supposed to be like a.
Oh, I just explained to somebody. I said this is a 2-day seminar, but if it's just a lecture, it's like 4 hours.
This is only frame 2, girl.
I know.
We're in trouble.
Like, Okay, so
maybe not in detail in each one.
No,
I don't know.
Detail,
it's like I hate to shortchange
think that
it.
these crystals come from another planet. They can think it's like they're planted here, and it's like alien life and that kind of thing. And
yeah, we got to go to short attention span real deals mode. That's one of the things we're noted for.
Okay, now
it's
chakra
like next
healing.
to Ben Shapiro, we're the fastest talkers on the educational spectrum. What's that, dear? The
next one is chakra healing.
Yeah. This is creepy stuff. This is because it spans all across, and you know what is? You know what I call this besides relativism, which is more of an intellectual word, because most people don't understand it. But we use it when we're talking academically to priests and people who are higher up. The lower one, I used to call it mixed faith, mixed religion. That you can't do that, and all of these apply to that, and some of these will do it more than the others and get dangerous. Such as the crystal therapy. It's hard to say. If you just got the crystal from a quarry and you gave superstition to it, then you probably, you turned it into something profane, just because of the superstition. Like I used to say, remember the church, the head of lettuce, David Letterman was presenting on Mork and Mindy on an old episode, that if you did that in real life and you took a fruit and you turned it into some god or deity and you're serious about it, the devil will send a devil, higher up one, to be in charge and make sure that this religion seems to give an illusion that it's true, just enough to draw in this, the money and the believers, and it's not always going to happen. So don't go out there and start, you guys faking priests and stuff. Oh, there's a new way to make money. Oh, a little Ed Wynn imitation. But you guys, that's kind of the more, mainstream thing that I used to use was mixed faith, mixing Christianity with paganism, mixing Christianity with relativism.
When we talk about chakra healing here, though, Kenny, what we're talking about is a very, very ancient Eastern philosophy that is before the time of Christ, where the ancients understood that our body is a walking battery. It truly is, because God put the divine spark of life in us. Now, certain parts of our body were given names and given flower-like symbols to represent, and this is really interesting, you guys. In the rabbinic, in the Kabbalah, there's a tree of life that is very similar to the Kundalini and the chakras as they line up. And energy, they believe, flows from the seat, which is a serpent. It's the root chakra. And it basically fuels this egg that surrounds you. That's what they believe. Now, the chakra healing that we're talking about is the belief in chakras in itself is not essentially cult. It's not invitational. The practice, however, of healing the chakras by the Kundalini spirit is very dangerous, because now we're talking about false gods. And we're talking about a healing that comes from something other than God. So if somebody is getting into chakra healing, they're going to be talking about channeling the energy to come into themselves, into their body, their etheric egg that they believe of energy they have, and coming up into their sexual organs and going all the way up and out their head. This is very dangerous. This is not good. This is an invitational of a lot of those little nasty cockroaches that float around in the air. We don't want to deal with that. But your kid is in college or your kid is in high school, and I understand a lot of places are, practicing, the deep meditation and chakra healing, and it's not a big deal. Well, maybe the first time it won't be. Do you really want to try a second time? And nah, I don't think so. Reiki. Now, this is another one that is very, very popular. It's actually being used in a number of hospitals are even using it because they don't understand. The Reiki comes from two words, Rei and Ki, and I'm not going to go into the whole long explanation here, you guys, but Reiki is another Eastern philosophy, and it is another one. Anytime you put anything before God, you've got what? Idolatry. You've got false religion. You've got false practice. So this is why we list them here. And somebody was saying something because we do dowsing rods here. Now, why did we list dowsing rods? Because how else did people find sources? Well, Moses was lucky. He had the magic stick and whack. God says, let there be water. We don't have magic sticks, so what do we have? We have copper. And it was very, very common to use copper for dowsing rods, but that is not what they're used in the occult for. And I'm not going to go into what they're used for because I'm not going to get through. We're not going to get through this. Yeah. So dowsing rods, it's all in the intention, Michael. All right. So yeah, refresh if your screen is frozen. Okay, guys. But dowsing rods, it's all in the intention. No, you don't need to play with them. Yoga and the poses for meditation. Yoga stretching in itself, done by itself without the knowledge of what yoga is, shouldn't be harmful. But when yoga is learned about and the intention and the meditation and the breathing exercises are brought into it, it's invitational of the Indian Hindu gods. You cannot talk to any Indian and say, oh, the exercises are different than the poses and the worship of the god. No, you can't separate them. So I'm not even going to go into that here.
Well, the Kundalini, for example, lay on your stomach, hold yourself up with your hands, holding your body completely up. That's the Kundalini pose. You think it's stretching exercises? It's honor, veneration, and worship of the Hindu gods and goddesses. We know this. So don't look it up if you want to do it. But don't listen to the controversy of the opposite side, because we know what we're talking about. Father Gary Thomas, all the exorcists, everybody agrees with us, and we knew about it before we met half of these guys. Half of the priests and all of them out there, and you get together and go, oh yeah, we always kind of knew that too, and that's important to know.
So we're on the astrology charts. So many people think that, I read the paper. You remember that? Deb, when it used to be cool to wake up and go, what's Gene Dixon saying about my astrology today?
Yes, we all did that.
I mean, we did back in the early 70s. It was like, oh my gosh, I'm a Gemini, you're a Sagittarius. Oh my gosh, we're gonna make music together.
It means nothing. You know what, guys? This is funny too. You know that in the Babylonian times, did you know that the sun's position in the sky relative to the stars and the earth and where you're out on the earth? In other words, what they go by is that above me when I was born, supposedly it was Virgo or one of those. Okay. But you know that it's 1 month off in this, we'll just say this 1,000-year spectrum, whatever. How many thousands of years ago was the time of Babylonians? So in other words, I am either a Leo or what's the one ahead of me? I'm 1 month off. So all this time you're reading the wrong horoscope.
And you're Cancer, the crab.
You're reading the wrong horoscope.
Leo. I think you're closer to Leo.
You're going by something old. You're not going to go by.
So in other words, if you're a month ahead, and that's just it. God,
so that just tells you right there it's screwed up because. So you've been reading the wrong horoscope, so whatever you read is BS anyway.
There have been so many studies that show you can read a day's horoscope for any one of the 12 zodiac signs, which are, real astrological signs, and studied just like the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper. And everybody will go like, yeah, that's me. That's totally me. Because they all sound the same.
Yeah, this has been confirmed by science, by the way, the Earth axis.
I know, I haven't either in like 30 years. It's like...
When the priest told me and the Warrens told me, oh my God, that's more invitation you're giving it.
That's right.
I didn't know.
That's right. You got that right.
Superstition is invitation
so I
in itself.
Not to ever look at it ever again.
Good for you. Yeah. Good for you. Yeah, a lot of people just think, oh, it's harmless. It's harmless. It's just... it's nothing.
Numerology is
kind of an interesting one. You actually get into it and you believe it.
That's right, and you start depending on it, and you start obsessing about it. What is it today? What is it today? What is it saying today? And numerology the same way. We know Nancy Reagan was a big one on astrology and the numerology charts. And Reagan, she would make sure that she would talk to Reagan. I don't think Reagan was into it, but I think she was, and she would help him. She would help him, arrange and do certain things according to, his astrological chart, what, the stars said, because, were the stars propitious about...
Day for him?
Yes. It was insane what they used to do. Now, whatever. I'm not going to say anything about the Reagans. But basically, when you follow numerology... and you follow astrology, how is that relying on faith in God?
That's not.
Exactly.
So this is why we need not to rely on numerology or the zodiacs.
Precisely. Because it's it's a, shall we say, it's not a God-based science. It's not a God-based natural thing that God tells us rely on.
That gave us the positions and the 12 months of the year. It was more or less for a calendar.
Oh, yeah. Rosalie, she's killing me. She said those astrology charts were so fake. She worked for a publishing company, and she had to type 3 months' worth of days 4 times a year. And all they did was just shuffle them. They were repetitive. Oh, my gosh. That's just... Thank you, Rosalie.
Sorry, Rosalie.
We all needed to hear that, Rosalie. That is so funny. Oh my gosh, that's funny. So we went over astrology, numerology, now trance channeling and Ayurvedic chant, okay? Why did I group those together, kids? Anybody want to take a guess?
I don't know what the other one, the second
Ayurvedic?
one.
We'll let you take that, Farah.
What's that, honey?
What's the chant one?
We'll let you take it. You brought it up.
Well, I'll give an opinion on
There's
trance
a
channeling,
very
but, yeah.
fine line between Ayurveda and trance channeling, okay? A trance channeling, it really has no religion or space or anything. Ayurveda is far Eastern, and what we're trying to tell people is the invitation to this kind of stuff is on a deeper level of direct demonic infestation.
Exactly.
Direct.
When you're channeling,
Yep.
you're talking to the demonic.
You're leaving your home with the doors and the lights on saying, come on in and grab my stuff, people. To like
And they
hordes
think
of
it's their
demons.
dead
How
family that's
stupid
passed.
is that?
That's so funny.
And people don't even
That's
realize
funny
they're
when
like,
they think it's their dead family.
Exactly.
Oh, I heard from Uncle so-and-so, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, the
But
whole
that's
thing.
the demonic side they're hearing from, because only the demonic will answer you. Your dead family will not answer you.
They may never too, and you have to pray about it. You just can't call them. They don't have the power to come to you at will. I mean, if they're in heaven, especially. If they're in hell, that's another story. And
So just keep in mind, if you know anybody that's tried or wants to try trance channeling or sit and do this Ayurvedic chant, they might as well just leave their house open and their car open and turn the lights on and crank the stereo up, set the table, and just sit outside and just invite everybody to come in there, steal everything they got. Because what you don't see can hurt you, my kitties.
You've seen these old movies like Legend of Hell House where they had the trance mediums and they sit there and then their voice even changes like, what are you doing here? And it's a woman, you know, and
Yeah.
she's got suddenly this low voice and everything, and no one's thinking, you just allowed yourself to become possessed, but you're called a trance channeler, trance channeler too. Yeah, why not? You know, and you're purposely allowing yourself to be a revolving door for spirits. What is your protection? Somehow or another, you're flying it by the seat of your pants. You know, if you wear something you think is for protection, and so far it hasn't happened, just wait until you get older and you're an old lady and it's coming time near your death because you've fooled people long enough or driven them to the wrong side, the dark side. Then you're going to be fighting some invisible spirits and you're going to lose the battle.
That's a sad thing.
All
We
right,
got to get
Ken,
on with this.
What do you think about, how do you feel about the magic lighting?
Oh, the candle lighting? Oh my gosh, I didn't go over
You know, when
candle
they
lighting.
write,
Yeah, well, you
and
know
they-
what?
Oh, yeah.
Somebody asked me about that, and what I have to tell you about candle lighting real quick is how we believe every faith might be a little bit different. I'm really not sure. I don't remember the assemblies or Episcopalian. Yeah, Episcopalians bless their candles too. In the Catholic faith, guys, when we buy candles, you know, whether by the box or we go buy them, we always had a habit of getting them blessed. And how do you do that? You just carry them in a little shopping bag, and after church on Sunday, here, can you bless these as you're walking out the door? He takes his holy water, you know, his little censer thing, blesses them, you're good to go. That's the way most Catholic families were raised. Some of them weren't raised like that. Most of them were. Because when you light a candle, it is often believed that you're setting yourself up for the darkness. And if you light a candle and you draw darkness because your light is pushing the darkness back, if it's blessed, they'll all run. So you know, the modern candle lighting craze, I think this started like probably back in the 60s, and it was just, you know, kind of for fun. The occult has long used candles, and they have long used certain senses, certain colors, certain particulate, such as animal fats, human fats, bits of hair, bits of bone, melted down into a candle to give it that much more potency. Today's modern, what people call white witchcraft magic, it's still witchcraft. It's still dark. I don't care how white you think it is, honey. I promise you, when we go on the other side, you tell me it's white when I'm waving at you going, hey, honey, I'm in purgatory.
I agree with you, Farah. There's no such thing on the face of this earth that is white witchcraft.
Nope.
Witchcraft is witchcraft.
Yeah, remember, when you go to the mob boss, it doesn't change the fact that he's murdered many people. He still deals with major, harmful, deadly drugs, and he is what he is, and very devilish in his dark side. Just because he lends you money to help you pay your mortgage one month, he'll probably make it come back on you, and you're going to have to pay him something back. That's also white witchcraft. Because it doesn't matter what their nature is and what you ask them for, and if they do something nice, their dark side dictates who they are. End of story.
Oh, yeah, but I'm glad you addressed this, Farah.
I'm not finished.
What I was talking about, when you had brought this up, that's a good topic.
Yeah.
Mediums, when they go in and they go into a trance and they write, and you think they're scribbling, but they're writing, and they're telling you stuff.
That's called That's called automatic writing, and that's actually trance channeling,
automatic
honey.
Writing. Thank you. I couldn't think of
automatic writing.
Automatic.
But the point
That's
about
really
candle
teenager
lighting
stuff.
ceremonies
That's
is the most infectious that children and people are going to run into in college are people that just say, well, I just want to set up some candles because I want the good energies in here, so I'm going to light a candle to the north and the south and the east and the west, or no, I'm going to light one to the earth and the air. So they take the natural position of whatever is natural, they twist it, and it becomes something invitational, mysterious, and potentially harmful to their soul. So, candle lighting ceremonies.
All the time, and I only light white candles that are beeswax.
Yeah.
I mean, now that Halloween is approaching, they sell the black candles, the brown candles, and you're not going. Anybody in the right mind should not light a black candle or a brown candle.
No.
Or sometimes people will light a green candle for money.
Oh, exactly. They think that's a wonderful thing to do. Don't do that.
Yeah.
No.
You can curse yourself.
And do you know what the sad part is?
Then who's going to answer the call?
I love the smell of sandalwood.
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful.
That always comes in a brown candle. But if you like the smell of sandalwood, you can get it in the oil. Don't light the brown candle.
Wow.
That's all a part of witchcraft.
Yeah, we have to go
completely.
We have to go into detail on that because there's what do you call it, the conclusive proof on those things.
Yes.
So you're just make it up. They're biased because they're Catholic.
Yeah.
So that's where we want to try to nail it on the head in another show because we don't want to get too far off of the teenage topic. This is stuff you get when you've been a teenager and you went through this and you're like more. Because they do that. They light these candles as sororities and stuff like that. Like, we're going to initiate our sister. And you're like, you know what I mean? They mix a little bit of witchcraft and their stupid initiations in there. And they do the Freemason stuff, I noticed, from what you hear from people, when they do into fraternities. They do this weird stuff, you even saw it in Revenge of the Nerds. That's the stuff they do in Freemasonry and some of those other ones, when you get to a certain level. So both of them are dabbling in some form of the occult. Freemason or Illuminati or white witchcraft or, with Druidism or whatever the thing may be, both the girls and the guys with their sororities and fraternities in college. So that's when you're in college.
Yeah.
So, and that's college, I don't know. I mean, in my opinion, a lot of teenage mental people, it's like you have to be 26 now to be 21 like you were in the 60s. Before the 60s hippie stuff anyway.
So, when we're talking about media influences, we got an interesting question tonight, Deb, via PM. Media influences, what is media? Media is anything that seeks to influence us via oral on our radio, written in our newspapers, our magazines, whether it is a religious product or it is something, a newspaper off the stands,
documentary news.
We can turn on YouTube, we can turn on TV, whatever. That's media, and it influences us because once it's in our mind, it's very difficult to take out. So the question, Deb, tonight was, and we still have to answer it, but I wanted to let them know that we were going to answer it tonight, was specifically this. I understand there's a movie out in theaters, and it's very popular, called The Nun. And I'm considering watching it. I am a Christian Catholic, and I'm not sure if I should be watching something like that. Could you please tell me your opinion on what you think is the appropriate, the appropriate thing to do? Should I go watch it or should I not? So when I thought about this question, I can understand people's reticence because, honestly, if you believe that in any way, shape, or form watching something, just watching it on its own, could potentially leave you. Don't you love how he does the camera and he puts it on my back instead of my face? That's too funny.
Yes.
Yeah, he's so talented. Maybe I should turn around and face his camera, but I kind of like talking, I like watching my back. He's going to come back and go, did I do that? And I'm going to be like, yeah, you did.
Upside the head.
I know. Should I whap him upside the head? You put it on my back, Ken.
Put what on your back?
The camera. You turned off my camera, not yours.
Oh, no. How'd that happen?
Because, as usual, you're not thinking.
As usual?
Yes.
That's insulting.
Oh, well, get over it.
The contrary. One time, one thing happens on a rare occasion.
Somebody's got to tease you. Somebody's got to tease you.
All right, watch it. I'm the only producer guy. You quit.
And then you can leave. Okay. Well, Farah, I think it's okay to watch The Nun because people have to realize it's a lot of Hollywood mixed with the truth. And it talks about the Abbey, but the Abbey that Lorraine had gone to was in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it wasn't over in the other country. So of course Hollywood's going to mix it. So it's going to make for a good movie.
And that's what I was going to say is that when you look at stories like this, the story is done for its shock value, entertainment purposes only. And how is it entertaining? Because it's shocking. Who the heck wants to think that something like this is possible?
You're talking about the Borley Nun movie or whatever?
I'm talking, in the Abbey.
Somebody asked us, as a Christian Catholic, is it okay to go watch that?
And part in the other place, in the other country.
I mean, if you're watching a movie, it's about blatant Satanism. It's not the same as horror. It's just like when you watch, some of these old plays, done by Shakespeare. Some of them dark, whatever. Macbeth, I think, was the one with the purgatory ghost, and that was, people thought that was a ghost story. But now the Borley Nun, they call it the Borley Rectory, and that place is like the...
Find out the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Because Hollywood's going to take it to a whole new level to scare the crap out of you.
Yeah, I think Borley Nun has been made up. I think it was a purgatory spirit, and it's in the ruins of what they call the Borley Rectory, and I usually see the graveyard shots from somebody took. I've never been there, of course. But that was, I think that it was Lorraine and Ed's one of their favorite things, and along with Harry Price, that they used to get a lot of captures there.
Lorraine always talked about Borley.
Yeah,
that was her favorite.
Yeah, it's like she'd see the person in a nun habit in the Borley Rectory cemetery, but it's they turned this nun. I don't even know if they had the idea, and maybe they connected the dots in a brainstorm over wine one day and said, "Hey, the Borley nun. Hey, there we can turn that." God bless the Borley nun. Say some purgatory prayers for the poor gal. She's probably in purgatory for 50, 100 years. Don't make movies about her, make them look like demonic. What?
I said, I hope the Borley nun is out by now.
Out of purgatory? I hope so. I know, because we know some of those stories of these old castles and the maids still dusting stuff off, and it's if it's what they call a residual haunting, it's probably a penance. It's not their job to know you're there, and they don't have the benefit of being able to interact and ask for prayers.
They can only get out of purgatory if we say prayers for them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't forget, folks, these are very old notions.
Purgatory, even though we don't know them. Every time we say the rosary, it releases a soul from purgatory.
2,000 years of Catholic and in Christian denominations that came out 1,500 years later. You're going to find it in the older churches. It's a very old idea to pray for the dead. It's in Maccabees even, which is the Jewish time before Jesus. That is therefore a very holy thing to pray for the dead. And this is why, you shouldn't just give up when you might have even a friend you think might have gone to the wrong place. Pray into the end of time.
We don't know where our friends go. We don't know where our parents go. We don't know where our siblings go, our loved ones, any one of our loved ones. Yeah. We just assume, they went to heaven. No. There's a fine line there. You have to get in there you have to go to heaven without a blemish. So we basically go to purgatory. That's where we become cleansed. And as long as somebody says prayers for us, and especially if they can say the rosary, that helps release the soul.
You can be charitable to the ones in the afterlife as well, to a certain extent. I mean, there's a case, of course, off topic, where the nun actually came back to visit the convent and says, I'm gone. I'm lost.
Yes, exactly. And that nun movie is, from what I hear, very, very, very frightening. It's incredibly frightening. It's very Hollywood. So I would not take anybody younger to see it, because younger minds, 16 and younger, are very impressionable, depending on how sensitive your child is. And if you homeschool them, I wouldn't take a 17-year-old to see it. I hear it's very, very graphic. And it's very strong. So, we're going to end on this one tonight, kids. The media influences of vampires, Twilight, the Harry Potter series, witchcraft.
Harry Potty.
Potty, exactly. The Harry Potty boy. Yeah. Witchcraft charms. All of these on this list. The Supernatural, Roswell, Warlocks, Ghost Hunting, Taps. All these media influences can be influential in leading a young person's mind, or leading somebody to try something they normally wouldn't.
That's a good point about Harry Potter.
They make it relative. They make it like not a big deal. Why not try it? So, you guys, this might actually be a 4-part series. I apologize because there's so much to talk about here.
Harry Potter, though. Gabriel Amorth, the late creator of the Exorcist organization called the International Association of Exorcists, from straight from the Vatican. He's deceased now. He was in that movie that we reviewed. He said that about Harry Potter. Father Gary Thomas, who was in the right, Father Chad Rippinger, who has a lot of people following his messages. We've been saying it for years. When you put real spells in there, and they go, you can't prove this, there wouldn't be a problem with this. We find it, and then it's a problem, and then we address it. You know that when you can solve it based on the problem, that tells you something about, the source. Just like all of the things we talked about tonight. Think about it. Give us the benefit of the doubt. We've been around a long time. I'm old.
Yeah, we're old.
Yes.
Okay, so to wrap it up, kids, we're ending on media influences. There's probably going to be a couple more things I'm going to want to talk about, so I appreciate you coming. Please give us a like, click on the subscribe, and as always, we love our dear Deb. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Deb, and thank you all once again. If you have any questions, you can always PM us, find us on Facebook, Kenneth and Farah Deel, OFS. And remember, the battle's already been won. All right, you guys, we're just in kind of like the last little skirmishes here. Never forget. So God bless you all. Enjoy your Friday night.
Part 2 next week. See you guys.
Part 2 coming at you. Night.
God bless.
Love you, Deb. Love you guys. Sweet dreams, pokey poos. Nighty nighties, tidy whities.
The Real Deal TV show, copyright 2018, a Swords of St. Michael production. Any unauthorized duplication or rebroadcast or retransmission of this broadcast without the express written permission of the Swords of the Saint Network or that of Kenneth and Farah Deel is strictly prohibited.
Are you still in?